The sun rose over the bustling city of New Haven, casting a golden hue on the buildings and streets below. People hurried to work, the air filled with the sounds of laughter, chatter, and the rhythmic thud of footsteps. In the midst of this normalcy, something extraordinary was about to unfold. As the morning progressed, strange phenomena began to occur. First, the sky darkened, as if a storm was brewing. Then a series of meteor showers lit up the horizon, trailing bright lights that danced across the sky. Citizens paused in their tracks, gazing upward, their faces reflecting a mix of awe and confusion. Whispers spread through the crowd. "What's happening?" Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the streets, vibrating the ground beneath their feet. The noise intensified, sending people scrambling for cover. In the distance, a massive silhouette emerged, blocking out the sun. It was a colossal alien mothership, its metallic surface gleaming ominously as it descended through the clouds. Panic swept through the city as the mothership loomed overhead. Children cried, and adults shouted in alarm. It hovered for a moment, casting a shadow over the streets, then unleashed a series of smaller ships that broke off and streaked toward the ground. The ground trembled as the first alien craft touched down. Dust and debris filled the air, and a deep hum resonated from the ships, reverberating in the chests of those nearby. The invaders had arrived. What would they want? And what were their intentions? Inside the mothership, the alien commanders prepared for the invasion. Their leader, Commander Xalcor, surveyed the planet from his command chair, a malicious grin forming on his face. "This world is ours for the taking. We will harness its resources and enslave its inhabitants." But as the scout ships descended toward Earth, an unexpected challenge arose. The ships began to shake violently, and the pilots struggled to maintain control. "What is happening?" One of the pilots shouted, panic rising in his voice. "Gravity. The planet's gravity is interfering with our systems." Another pilot exclaimed as alarms blared. The alien technology, designed for their own planet's conditions, was unprepared for the gravitational forces of Earth. As the scout ships attempted to land, they spiraled out of control, crashing into the ground with tremendous force. Explosions rocked the city, sending shockwaves through the streets. Buildings trembled, and debris rained down on the terrified citizens. The alien invaders were in chaos, their plans disrupted before they could even begin. Outside, chaos reigned. The citizens of New Haven watched in horror as the alien ships malfunctioned and crashed around them. The sound of sirens filled the air as emergency services rushed to the scene, but the danger was only beginning. From the wreckage, alien figures emerged, disoriented and confused. They stumbled out of their crafts, weapons at the ready, but their confidence wavered. Earth's gravity was an unforeseen obstacle, and they quickly realized they were not prepared for this battle. Back in the city, a group of scientists at the nearby research facility scrambled to analyze the situation. "Look at the data," Dr. Amelia Carter shouted, pointing at the screens. "The gravity is causing their ships to malfunction. We might have a chance." The team quickly formulated a plan to harness Earth's gravity to their advantage. They knew the aliens were powerful, but their overconfidence might be their downfall. It was time for humanity to unite and show the invaders that Earth would not go down without a fight. As the citizens of New Haven watched the chaos unfold, hope ignited within them. They would stand together against the invaders, ready to defend their home. The aliens may have thought they could take Earth easily, but they were about to discover that gravity had other plans. The stage was set for an epic confrontation, one that would change the course of humanity forever. The battle for Earth was just beginning. The air crackled with tension as the dust settled in the aftermath of the alien ships crashing to Earth. Panic mingled with confusion as people rushed to safety, their hearts pounding in fear. But amidst the chaos, a flicker of determination ignited in the eyes of many. The citizens of New Haven could not simply stand by and watch their home fall into darkness. Dr. Amelia Carter and her team at the research facility worked frantically to understand the alien technology and devise a strategy. The monitors buzzed with data, showcasing the alien systems and the malfunctions caused by Earth's gravity. "We need to find a way to exploit their weaknesses," Amelia urged her colleagues. "They are not just invaders, they are vulnerable." Meanwhile, the alien commanders, led by Xalcor, were reeling from the unexpected disaster. The mothership floated ominously in the sky, and scattered reports from the ground filtered in. "Our forces are in disarray. The gravity on this planet is stronger than anticipated," a lieutenant reported, panic creeping into his voice. "Silence," Xalcor thundered, slamming his fist on the console. "We will regroup and attack. We cannot show weakness." He knew that Earth was rich in resources, and he was determined to claim it for his people, no matter the cost. But he underestimated the resilience of the humans. As night fell, the streets of New Haven became a battlefield. The alien forces, despite their chaos, began to organize themselves. Armed with weapons that glowed ominously, they marched forward, their confidence returning as they tried to rally their troops. The citizens, however, were prepared. The military had mobilized, and with them, the resolve of a united population surge. The sirens of emergency vehicles wailed as soldiers armed with advanced technology took their positions. They stood side by side with civilians, creating a formidable line of defense. "We need to protect our city," shouted Colonel Richards, the head of the local defense unit. "We cannot let them reach the heart of New Haven." As the alien forces advanced, their soldiers were met with unexpected resistance. The humans, motivated by fear and anger, fought back with a tenacity that the aliens had not anticipated. The soldiers deployed tactics that used Earth's gravity against the invaders, creating traps and using the environment to their advantage. Dr. Carter and her team were monitoring the battle from the safety of the research facility. They watched as Earth's forces engaged the aliens, using makeshift barriers and obstacles to slow their advance. "Look at this," Amelia exclaimed, pointing at the screen. "The aliens are struggling to adapt. Their weapons are powerful, but they are not designed for this environment." Suddenly, an idea sparked in Amelia's mind. "We can enhance our defenses. If we can manipulate the gravitational fields even further, we might be able to create a localized gravity well that could trap them." The team scrambled to gather the necessary equipment, determined to aid their fellow citizens in this desperate fight. As the battle raged on, the aliens unleashed their firepower, beams of energy shooting from their weapons and illuminating the night sky. Buildings crumbled, and the ground shook beneath the relentless assault. But Earth's defenders stood their ground, utilizing every resource at their disposal. They fought not just for their city, but for the very essence of humanity. Just as the alien forces seemed to gain the upper hand, Dr. Carter's team succeeded in creating a prototype device that amplified gravity in a localized area. "We're ready," she shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Let's deploy it." The soldiers quickly moved the device to the front lines, setting it up strategically where the alien forces were converging. With a push of a button, the device activated, generating an invisible force that pulled the aliens down, creating confusion and disorder among their ranks. "What is happening?" one of the aliens shouted as he struggled to move. The gravity intensified, and many of them found it difficult to remain standing. The humans watched in disbelief as their enemy faltered, realizing they could turn the tide of the battle. The once confident alien invaders were thrown into disarray, and panic spread among them. They had underestimated Earth's ability to adapt and fight back. The humans took advantage of this moment, launching their counteroffensive with renewed vigor. Colonel Richards led the charge, rallying his troops. "Push forward. They are vulnerable now. Show them that we will not back down." With shouts of determination, the human soldiers advanced, weapons blazing, and the tide of the battle began to shift. In the midst of the chaos, Xalcor watched from the mothership, his anger boiling. "We must regroup. Call for backup," he ordered, frustration evident in his voice. But deep down, he felt the fear creeping in. Earth was fighting back, and their plan was unraveling. As the battle continued, the sounds of combat echoed through the streets. Fire raged, and the night was lit up by the fierce clash between the two forces. Humanity had proven its resilience, and the aliens were beginning to realize that their conquest was not going as planned. With Earth's gravity as their ally, the humans fought fiercely, turning the invasion into a fight for survival. As the alien forces staggered under the weight of their failure, hope surged within the hearts of the defenders. They knew they were not alone. They were fighting for their families, their homes, and their world. The chaos unleashed was not just a battle of weapons, but a clash of wills, and humanity was determined to emerge victorious. The stage was set for an epic confrontation, one that would change the fate of both worlds forever. The streets of New Haven were now a battlefield of chaos and courage. As the alien forces struggled to adapt to Earth's intense gravity, the humans fought with newfound determination. The air was thick with the acrid scent of smoke, mingling with the sounds of battle, the roar of energy blasts, the shouts of soldiers, and the cries of the wounded. It was a scene of both horror and heroism. Colonel Richards pushed forward with his troops, moving deeper into the fray. The device they had deployed created a localized gravity well, causing many alien soldiers to stumble and fall. The humans seized this opportunity, advancing with a mix of military strategy and raw human spirit. Each step was fueled by their need to protect their home. Dr. Amelia Carter monitored the situation from the makeshift command center, her heart racing as she watched the battle unfold on the screens. "They're starting to regroup," she exclaimed, her voice laced with urgency. "We need to keep the pressure on them. Colonel Richards is leading the charge. They're pushing back hard," one of her colleagues replied, adjusting the monitors to focus on different battle zones. "But we can't let up. If they find a way to stabilize their forces, it could turn against us." As the humans pressed their advantage, they launched coordinated strikes against the disoriented alien soldiers. Small squads flanked the aliens, using guerrilla tactics to disrupt their formations. Each successful attack raised the morale of the defenders, instilling a sense of hope amidst the chaos. On the alien side, Zalcor was furious. His once mighty invasion force was being systematically dismantled. The gravity on Earth had rendered their technology less effective, and their soldiers were unaccustomed to the challenges they faced. "Regroup. We must form a defensive perimeter," he barked, his eyes scanning the screens filled with chaotic reports. But the chaos was beyond control. Alien soldiers, who had once believed they were invincible, now found themselves outmatched by the sheer willpower of the humans. The more they struggled against the enhanced gravity, the more they became disoriented. Some began to panic, unsure of how to adapt to the relentless onslaught. Meanwhile, Colonel Richards spotted a cluster of alien troops trying to regroup near a destroyed building. "Let's hit them hard," he shouted to his squad. "Suppressing fire on my mark. 3, 2, 1, now." The soldiers unleashed a barrage of gunfire, lighting up the area as energy bolts rained down upon the alien troops. The sheer intensity of the attack caught the aliens off guard. They scattered, desperate to find cover, but the humans were relentless. They pushed forward, their determination overwhelming any fear they felt. Amidst the chaos, Amelia and her team continued to refine the gravity manipulation device. "If we can increase the gravity well's radius, we can impact more of their forces," she suggested, her fingers flying across the control panel. The team worked tirelessly, their hearts pounding as they labored under the pressure of time. Back on the battlefield, Colonel Richards watched as the aliens struggled to regain their footing. "They're faltering. We need to drive them back," he shouted, rallying his troops. With a loud roar, they charged into the fray, moving as one towards the disorganized alien ranks. But just as victory seemed within reach, Zalcor unleashed a new strategy. "Send in the heavy units," he commanded, desperation in his voice. Massive armored alien soldiers, larger and stronger than their counterparts, surged into the fray. Their presence sent shockwaves through the human lines. As the heavy units charged forward, they used brute strength to push back against the humans. The battle intensified, and for the first time, the humans began to feel the pressure of the relentless assault. Colonel Richards quickly gathered his troops, shouting, "Fall back, regroup and prepare for their next move." Amelia watched with concern as the tide of the battle shifted. "We need to activate the enhanced gravity well now. We can't let them push us back," she urged her team. They hurried to adjust the device, hoping to buy the soldiers on the ground more time. With determination, the scientists activated the enhanced gravity field. The ground shook as the radius expanded, engulfing the heavy alien units. The additional gravitational pull slammed into them, and their advance slowed. Many fell to the ground, struggling to get back up, their massive forms now vulnerable. "Now's our chance," Colonel Richards yelled, spotting the effects of their technology. "Push forward. Show them we're not afraid." The soldiers surged back into the battle, taking advantage of the chaos among the alien heavy units. The energy of the humans surged as they charged into the fray, each step resonating with the strength of their resolve. They fought not only for their lives, but for their world and for each other. The bond formed through adversity was palpable. They were no longer just soldiers, but a united force determined to defend their home. As the battle raged, the atmosphere crackled with tension and determination. With the weight of gravity now a fierce ally, humanity was rising to the challenge. The tide was shifting, and the aliens were learning a harsh lesson. They had underestimated the resolve of Earth and its defenders. With every burst of energy and every call to action, the humans showed that their spirit was unbreakable. The aliens might have come to conquer, but they were finding that Earth's heart was a force to be reckoned with. The fight was far from over, and both sides were preparing for the next devastating clash. With every heartbeat, the humans knew they would not go quietly into the night. They were ready to fight for their existence, and the battle was just beginning. The battle raged on as Colonel Richards and his team fought fiercely against the alien invasion. The sky above New Haven was a chaotic swirl of energy blasts and smoke, illuminated by the explosions that rocked the landscape. As the gravity-enhancing device pulsed with power, the humans took advantage of their enemies' disarray. Colonel Richards shouted commands, his voice cutting through the cacophony. "Keep moving. We need to push them back to their landing zone. Let's show them what Earth is made of." His soldiers, hearts racing with adrenaline, surged forward like a wave crashing against a shore. In the command center, Dr. Amelia Carter monitored the battle's progress. She felt a mixture of pride and fear as she watched her fellow humans take on the alien threat. "We have to keep the device running. It's our key to holding them off," she urged her team, sweat glistening on her forehead as they adjusted the controls. Outside, the heavy alien units struggled against the enhanced gravity, their hulking forms now cumbersome and slow. One of the larger aliens, a brutish warrior named Grix, growled in frustration as he attempted to rise. "This planet's gravity. It is unnatural," he shouted, his voice strained. With great effort, he managed to push himself off the ground, but he was clearly disoriented. Colonel Richards spotted Grix trying to regroup with the remaining alien forces. "Focus fire on that heavy unit," he commanded. His troops aimed their weapons at the alien warrior, who was still trying to find his footing. They unleashed a volley of energy blasts, striking Grix with unrelenting precision. Grix roared in anger and pain, staggering back under the onslaught. His comrades, seeing their leader falter, hesitated. The humans seized the opportunity, pushing forward with renewed vigor. Each victory strengthened their resolve and fueled their courage. As the battle continued, Amelia received an urgent message from the front lines. "Dr. Carter, we're losing power on the gravity device. We need more energy to keep it functioning." A sense of urgency gripped her as she relayed the message to her team. "We have to find a way to stabilize it. If we can maintain the enhanced gravity, We can turn this battle in our favor. Inside the command center, they scrambled to find a solution. If we reroute energy from the backup generators, we might be able to boost the output temporarily, one technician suggested, his fingers flying over the control panel. Amelia nodded, understanding the risk but knowing they had little choice. Do it. We need to hold the line, she ordered, her heart racing. Outside, Colonel Richards felt the tide of the battle shifting. The alien forces were struggling to regain control. He rallied his troops once more. Now is our moment. Push them back. Show them that Earth will not bow to invaders. The soldiers surged forward, inspired by their leader's words. The humans began to drive the aliens toward their landing zone, forcing them to retreat. The alien ranks were breaking, and the humans could feel the exhilaration of potential victory. But just as they began to gain ground, Zalkor, the alien commander, realized the danger. With a fierce determination, he activated a signal that resonated through the alien forces. Regroup. Fall back to the ships. We will not let these humans defeat us. The remaining aliens, although disoriented, began to pull back, desperate to return to the safety of their ships. Seeing the aliens retreating, Colonel Richards pushed harder. Don't let them escape. We can't give them a chance to regroup. His voice rang out like a battle cry, echoing the determination of his troops. They charged forward, weapons blazing, intent on driving the aliens away for good. Amelia's heart raced as she monitored the gravity device. We need to increase the power now. The aliens are regrouping, she urged her team. With a nod, they rerouted energy from the backup generators, hoping it would provide the boost they desperately needed. The gravity well expanded further, engulfing more of the retreating aliens. The heavier units struggled even more under the increased gravitational pull. Grix and his remaining soldiers fell back, desperate to escape the onslaught of energy blasts from the advancing humans. But just as victory seemed within reach, a loud explosion rocked the command center. What was that? Amelia gasped, panic rising in her chest. The monitors flickered as the power surged unpredictably. We're losing control of the device. Quick, we need to stabilize it before it fails. A technician shouted, but chaos erupted as alarms blared. Outside, the gravity well fluctuated, causing instability among both human and alien forces. In the field, Colonel Richards felt the shift. What's happening? Stay focused. Push them back, he shouted, but the human soldiers began to hesitate, sensing the disruption in the battle. The alien forces, too, felt the change and started to regain their footing. Regroup, Zalkor ordered, his voice rising above the din of battle. The aliens began to strategize, using the moment of uncertainty to their advantage. Grix, filled with rage and determination, shouted to his fellow soldiers, "This is our chance. We will not be defeated by these inferior beings." Amelia fought to regain control of the device, her heart pounding in fear. Come on, we can't let this happen. We have to stabilize the output. She focused her energy on the controls, desperate to regain control over the gravity well. With determination, she directed her team to redirect additional power. If we can just stabilize it for a few moments, we can turn the tide, she cried, sweat beading on her forehead as she worked frantically. Back on the battlefield, Colonel Richards felt the tension in the air. The aliens were regrouping, their spirits rekindled. Hold the line. We will not let them through, he yelled, rallying his troops once more. This is our planet. We will fight for every inch. The clash of wills echoed through the war-torn streets as the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The humans were determined to show the aliens that they were not just invaders. They were fighting for survival, for their homes, and for each other. As the battle intensified, both sides prepared for what would come next. Would the humans find a way to regain their advantage, or would the aliens succeed in pushing them back? The answer lay in the determination of the defenders of Earth, a fierce resolve to protect what was theirs at any cost. The struggle for survival had only just begun. The battle reached a fever pitch as both humans and aliens grappled with the escalating chaos surrounding them. Colonel Richards stood at the forefront, his heart racing with a mix of adrenaline and determination. He knew this was the moment that would define them. Either they would drive back the invaders or watch their world crumble under the weight of alien oppression. "Forward! Don't let them take another step," Richards shouted, his voice slicing through the smoke-filled air. His soldiers, emboldened by their leader's courage, surged ahead, their energy weapons blazing. They pushed deeper into the fray, every blast echoing like a heartbeat of defiance. On the alien side, Salcor and Grix rallied their remaining troops, their expressions a blend of fury and disbelief. These humans should not be this strong. Salcor growled, watching as the gravity device continued to disrupt their formations. "We underestimated them. We will not let this planet be taken from us without a fight." Grix nodded, his massive form towering over the others. "Then let us show them the true power of our technology." With a swift motion, he activated a shimmering device strapped to his arm. A wave of energy pulsated from it, rippling through the battlefield, countering the gravitational effects temporarily. "Forward, brothers. We will crush these puny humans." With renewed vigor, the aliens charged forward, their heavy armor clanking as they moved. The surge of power from Grix's device counteracted the gravity well just enough to give them an edge. Colonel Richards noticed the shift immediately. "They're regrouping. Everyone, hold the line," he barked, bracing himself as the alien forces advanced. His heart sank as he saw the aliens beginning to push back, their sheer numbers making them a formidable foe. In the command center, Amelia's fingers flew across the controls, desperately trying to stabilize the gravity device. "We have to get more power into the system," she urged her team. "If Grix's device is counteracting our gravity, we need to overpower it. Reroute all available energy to the main unit," one technician shouted, his eyes wide with urgency. "We can't let them regain the advantage." Outside, the clash between humans and aliens intensified. Energy blasts and projectiles illuminated the battlefield, creating a cacophony of sounds that echoed through the air. Colonel Richards pushed through the chaos, his focus narrowed on Grix, who had now become a focal point of the alien offensive. "Take that alien down," Richards yelled, pointing at the towering warrior. The soldiers nodded, their aim steady as they unleashed a volley of fire towards Grix. But the alien's shield glimmered, absorbing most of the blasts, his armored form barely budging under the onslaught. "Do not falter," Richards called out. "We are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for every human who has ever called this planet home." Grix roared in defiance, charging toward the humans, his massive fists raised to deliver devastating blows. He barreled through the front lines, sending soldiers flying as if they were mere toys. The humans felt the weight of his strength, but they stood firm, knowing they could not give in. In the midst of the chaos, Amelia continued to battle with the gravity device. Come on," she muttered, sweat streaming down her face. The monitors flickered, and with one last desperate push, she rerouted the final surge of energy into the device. The gravity well flared brighter, its gravitational pull intensifying once more. "Now," she yelled, knowing that it was a race against time. Outside, the effect was immediate. The aliens staggered, their movements becoming sluggish once again as the gravity pressed down on them like a weight. Grix, still in motion, felt the crushing force, his knees buckling slightly as he struggled to maintain his balance. "Fall back," Salcor shouted, sensing the tide shifting yet again. "We can't hold against this pressure." The aliens hesitated, confusion rippling through their ranks as they fought against the gravitational force once more. "Push forward," Richards bellowed, seeing the opportunity before him. "They're vulnerable. Now is our chance." The human soldiers responded with a renewed ferocity. They rushed toward the struggling aliens, energy blasts filling the air. Grix, desperately trying to maintain control, swung wildly, but the humans were too fast, dodging and weaving around him. In the chaos, Richard spotted an opening. "Flank them," he ordered, motioning for a squad to move around Grix. They obeyed, swiftly maneuvering to get behind the alien warrior. As they moved, the soldiers coordinated their attacks, determined to capitalize on the aliens' disarray. "Now," Richard shouted, and they unleashed a focused barrage on Grix's back, targeting his exposed armor. The blasts connected, sending him staggering forward with a pained roar. The alien forces began to falter. The humans pushed harder, their spirits lifted as they realized they could drive the invaders back. "For Earth," they cried, rallying behind their commander. But Salcor, realizing that they were losing, activated his communicator. "We must retreat. Regroup at the ships," he ordered, his voice a mix of anger and frustration. "These humans are stronger than we anticipated." The command sent a ripple of uncertainty through the alien ranks. Grix, feeling the pressure mounting, attempted to turn the tide. "We cannot let them win. We are the conquerors," he roared, but his strength was waning. As the humans surged forward, the aliens began to withdraw, the pressure of the gravity well forcing them to retreat to their ships. Richards pressed the advantage, leading the charge as they pushed the aliens toward their landing zone. With the alien forces in disarray, Colonel Richards felt a surge of hope. "We can win this," he shouted, urging his soldiers on. But he also knew they couldn't let their guard down. The aliens would regroup and return stronger. Meanwhile, Amelia monitored the situation from the command center, her heart racing with every update. "Stay strong. We have to keep the gravity device stable," she shouted to her team. As the battle unfolded, the humans were determined to protect their home, but they also understood the fight was far from over. They had pushed back an alien invasion, but what would come next? Would the aliens return? And if so, how could they prepare for an even fiercer onslaught? With the fate of Earth hanging in the balance, the struggle for survival continued. The humans had proven their strength, but the coming days would test their resolve even further. After the chaotic battle with the alien invaders, Earth felt a heavy silence. The skies were clear, but the tension hung thick in the air. Colonel Richards stood atop a small ridge, overlooking the smoldering remains of the battlefield. The ground was scorched, littered with debris, and the scent of burnt metal lingered. The victory had come at a cost. While they had pushed back the aliens, the toll on both sides was significant. Richards turned to see his soldiers tending to the wounded and clearing away debris. They were weary but resolute, their spirits lifted by the triumph they had just achieved. "Colonel," a voice called out. It was Sergeant Adams, running toward him. "We receive reports from the command center. The aliens are regrouping. They're sending reinforcements." Richards's heart sank. "How long do we have?" "Less than 24 hours, Adams replied, his voice heavy with concern. "They're calling in every ship they have. This won't be a small force. We need to prepare." "Gather the troops," Richards commanded, his tone resolute. "We'll fortify our defenses and arm every soldier. We need to be ready for whatever they throw at us next." As Adams sprinted off to relay the orders, Richards felt a mix of determination and anxiety. He had led them through one battle, but could they withstand the next? His mind raced with strategies, and he knew they needed to think outside the box. Back at the command center, Amelia was hard at work, her fingers dancing across the control panel. She had seen the devastating impact of the gravity device in the battle and wanted to push it even further. If they could enhance its power, it could turn the tide in the next fight. "Amelia, how's the gravity device holding up?" Richards asked, stepping into the command center. "It's stable, but we can optimize it further. I have some ideas for modifications that could amplify its effects," she replied, not looking up from her screens. "Good. We need every advantage we can get," he said, nodding. "How long will it take?" "Just a few hours, but I'll need your full support. We can't afford any interruptions," she answered, finally meeting his gaze. consider it done. Just keep me updated, Richard said, turning to leave. As he walked out, the weight of the impending battle pressed down on him. They were fighting against not just the aliens, but the uncertainty of survival. He knew morale was key. If the soldiers lost hope, they would falter. That evening, Richards called for a meeting with his troops. They gathered in a large tent, the atmosphere heavy with anxiety. He stepped up to the makeshift podium, the glow of lanterns illuminating his face. "Listen up, everyone," he began, raising his voice to rally his troops. "Today, we faced a force unlike anything we've ever encountered. We fought hard and sent them running. But we can't let that lull us into complacency. They're coming back, and they'll be stronger." Murmurs of concern rippled through the crowd, but Richards pressed on. "We need to prepare. Each of you has proven that you are capable of incredible feats. We survived today, and we will survive tomorrow." He paused, scanning the faces of his soldiers. They were weary but determined. "We've got a plan. We will strengthen our defenses and enhance our gravity device. We will meet this new threat head-on. And when we do, we will show them what it means to fight for our home." Cheers erupted from the soldiers, their spirits ignited by his words. They began to chant, "For Earth! For Earth!" Richards felt a swell of pride in his chest. He knew they were ready to face whatever came next. The night was filled with activity as the troops worked tirelessly to fortify their defenses and prepare for the impending invasion. They reinforced barriers, set up energy shields, and stocked ammunition. Amelia and her team focused on optimizing the gravity device, determined to push its limits. Hours turned into the night, and as the sun rose, Richards knew they had done all they could. He gathered with Amelia and Adams in the command center, reviewing the plans one last time. "Once the aliens land, we need to immediately activate the gravity device to disrupt their formations," Amelia instructed, her voice steady despite the anxiety in the air. "If we can catch them off guard, we can weaken their numbers." "Right, and we'll have snipers positioned to pick off key targets," Adams added, pointing at the map laid out before them. "If we can take out their commanders, it will create confusion among their ranks." Richards nodded, feeling the surge of confidence. "Let's make sure everyone knows their roles. We need to be precise and coordinated." In the command center, Amelia's fingers flew across the controls, desperately trying to stabilize the gravity device. "We have to get more power into the system," she urged her team. "If Grix's device is counteracting our gravity, we need to overpower it. Reroute all available energy to the main unit," one technician shouted, his eyes wide with urgency. "We can't let them regain the advantage." Outside, the clash between humans and aliens intensified. Energy blasts and projectiles illuminated the battlefield, creating a cacophony of sounds that echoed through the air. Colonel Richards pushed through the chaos, his focus narrowed on Grix, who had now become a focal point of the alien offensive. "Take that alien down," Richards yelled, pointing at the towering warrior. The soldiers nodded, their aim steady as they unleashed a volley of fire towards Grix. But the alien's shield glimmered, absorbing most of the blasts, his armored form barely budging under the onslaught. "Do not falter," Richards called out. "We are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for every human who has ever called this planet home." Grix roared in defiance, charging toward the humans, his massive fists raised to deliver devastating blows. He barreled through the front lines, sending soldiers flying as if they were mere toys. The humans felt the weight of his strength, but they stood firm, knowing they could not give in. In the midst of the chaos, Amelia continued to battle with the gravity device. Come on," she muttered, sweat streaming down her face. The monitors flickered, and with one last desperate push, she rerouted the final surge of energy into the device. The gravity well flared brighter, its gravitational pull intensifying once more. "Now," she yelled, knowing that it was a race against time. Outside, the effect was immediate. The aliens staggered, their movements becoming sluggish once again as the gravity pressed down on them like a weight. Grix, still in motion, felt the crushing force, his knees buckling slightly as he struggled to maintain his balance. "Fall back," Zalcor shouted, sensing the tide shifting yet again. "We can't hold against this pressure." The aliens hesitated, confusion rippling through their ranks as they fought against the gravitational force once more. "Push forward," Richards bellowed, seeing the opportunity before him. "They're vulnerable. Now is our chance." The human soldiers responded with a renewed ferocity. They rushed toward the struggling aliens, energy blasts filling the air. Grix, desperately trying to maintain control, swung wildly, but the humans were too fast, dodging and weaving around him. In the chaos, Richard spotted an opening. "Flank them," he ordered, motioning for his squad to move around Grix. They obeyed, swiftly maneuvering to get behind the alien warrior. As they moved, the soldiers coordinated their attacks, determined to capitalize on the aliens' disarray. "Now," Richard shouted, and they unleashed a focused barrage on Grix's back, targeting his exposed armor. The blasts connected, sending him staggering forward with a pained roar. The alien forces began to falter. The humans pushed harder, their spirits lifted as they realized they could drive the invaders back. "For Earth," they cried, rallying behind their commander. But Zalcor, realizing that they were losing, activated his communicator. "We must retreat. Regroup at the ships," he ordered, his voice a mix of anger and frustration. "These humans are stronger than we anticipated." The command sent a ripple of uncertainty through the alien ranks. Grix, feeling the pressure mounting, attempted to turn the tide. "We cannot let them win. We are the conquerors," he roared, but his strength was waning. As the humans surged forward, the aliens began to withdraw, the pressure of the gravity well forcing them to retreat to their ships. Richards pressed the advantage, leading the charge as they pushed the aliens toward their landing zone. With the alien forces in disarray, Colonel Richards felt a surge of hope. "We can win this," he shouted, urging his soldiers on. But he also knew they couldn't let their guard down. The aliens would regroup and return stronger. Meanwhile, Amelia monitored the situation from the command center, her heart racing with every update. "Stay strong. We have to keep the gravity device stable," she shouted to her team. As the battle unfolded, the humans were determined to protect their home, but they also understood the fight was far from over. They had pushed back an alien invasion, but what would come next? Would the aliens return? And if so, how could they prepare for an even fiercer onslaught? With the fate of Earth hanging in the balance, the struggle for survival continued. The humans had proven their strength, but the coming days would test their resolve even further.